Before the war, before the medals, before the name carved into stone, there was a man no one was watching, not admired, not feared, not expected to matter. His name was Ulysses S. Grant. History would later call him a victor, a general, our president, but none of that existed yet. What existed was failure. Grant was not born into greatness. He did not grow up dreaming of power. He was quiet, awkward, unremarkable. At West Point, he did not stand out. No brilliance, no ambition that demanded attention. He rode horses well. He followed orders. He waited his turn. And when he graduated, the world did not open its doors to him. Instead, it moved on. After the army, life did not reward Grant. It dismantled him. He tried business. He failed. He tried farming. He failed. He tried selling firewood on the street, standing silently, hoping someone would stop. Sometimes no one did. There were days he returned home with empty hands. And a heavier silence. Grant was poor, embarrassingly poor. Not the romantic poverty of struggle, but the humiliating kind. The kind that strips dignity one quiet day at a time. He drank, not to celebrate, not to boast. He drank because silence was louder sober. Rumors followed him. Whispers grew. Unreliable, broken, a man who couldn't be trusted. And Grant did not fight them. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He simply endured. At one point, he was forced to resign from the army. Not in glory, not with honor, but quietly, almost invisibly. History nearly lost him right there. Julia, his wife, believed in him. But belief does not erase reality. Grant's failures followed them into marriage, into homes that never felt permanent, into years marked by absence and debt. He wrote letters filled with apology, not excuses, apologies. I have been a failure, and I know it. Not a man demanding sympathy, just a man acknowledging truth. There is something uniquely tragic about a person who knows they are falling and cannot stop it. Grant did not crave recognition. He did not dream of shaping history. He did not believe he deserved a place in it. That matters, because when opportunity finally came, it did not arrive as temptation. It arrived as necessity. America would soon tear itself apart. And Grant, the man who had failed at everything else, would be asked to endure one more burden, not because he wanted to lead, but because he could endure what others could not. Before war made him visible, Grant lived in obscurity. No speeches, no crowds, just a man rising each morning, unsure of his worth, yet still showing up. This is the version of Grant history forgets. The man before triumph, the man before blame, the man who learned humility long before he learned command. Grant did not rise quickly, he sunk, and in that sinking, something hardened quietly inside him. Not ambition, not anger, but endurance. When history finally called his name, it would not find a conqueror waiting. It would find a man already familiar with loss, a man who had nothing left to protect except his integrity. And that would change everything. And that would change everything. History often imagines war as a moment of awakening, a sudden transformation. For Grant, it was neither sudden nor awakening. It was simply another weight placed on shoulders already bent. When the war came, Grant did not step forward with conviction. He stepped forward because he was there. Others hesitated. Others debated principles and futures. Grant accepted the task the way a man accepts bad weather. Not because he believed it would pass, but because it had to be endured. Grant did not speak like a hero. He did not decorate his words or soften their meaning. While others described honor, Grant described reality. He saw the war not as a test of courage, but as a problem that demanded an end. And that difference unsettled people. He was called crude, unimaginative, even heartless. But what they mistook for cruelty was something else entirely. It was honesty. Grant did not chase victory. He chased conclusion. Every day the war continued, more letters would be written. More names folded into black cloth. More families left incomplete. Grant understood something few wanted to admit. A clean war is a lie. A long war is a massacre. If suffering was inevitable, then prolonging it was the true crime. This understanding did not harden Grant. It exhausted him. He did not celebrate victories. He did not enjoy command. At night, there were no speeches, only silence. He carried the weight of decisions that could not be undone. And, unlike others, he did not romanticize that burden. He simply carried it. Abraham Lincoln saw him, not as a symbol, not as a savior, but as a man who would not stop. Lincoln once said of Grant, "I can't spare this man. He fights." What Lincoln recognized was not brilliance but resolve. Grant did not fight because he loved war. He fought because he understood what endless war does to a nation. When the war finally ended, there was no triumph inside Grant. No relief, no pride, only a quiet emptiness. He had endured the thing he never wanted and survived it. But survival is not the same as healing. The nation looked to him. They wanted leadership, stability, a symbol. Grant wanted none of it. He was tired in a way victory cannot cure. Yet history does not ask whether a man is ready. It only asks whether he will answer. And Grant, the man who had never chased power, answered once again. And Grant, the man who had never chased power, answered once again. He did not step into the presidency with ambition. He stepped into it with resignation. The war had taken his strength. Now peace would test something else entirely. Grant did not understand politics, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he lacked suspicion. He believed words. He trusted faces. He assumed loyalty where none had been earned. In war, this would have been fatal. In politics, it was ruinous. Corruption did not come from Grant. It grew around him. Men whispered promises. Others hid greed behind smiles. And Grant, exhausted, honest, unguarded, let them in. Scandals erupted. Names fell. Reputations burned. The nation looked for someone to blame. And blame found him easily. Grant was called weak, naive, unfit for leadership. But weakness was never his flaw. His flaw was believing that others were capable of the same integrity he carried. He did not steal. He did not lie. Yet, history would remember him as if he had. When Grant left office, there were no celebrations, no relief, no gratitude, only the quiet return to vulnerability. He invested what little he had and was betrayed. Once again, Grant was ruined, not metaphorically, financially, completely. Then came the illness, cancer of the throat, a cruel irony for a man who had spoken so little of himself. Each word became pain, each breath a negotiation. Doctors told him the truth. Time was short. Grant did not ask for sympathy. He asked for paper. He began to write, not speeches, not defenses, but memory. Hour after hour, through pain that never eased, Grant wrote his life. Not to clear his name, but to leave something behind for Julia. His memoirs were honest, unadorned, precise. They would later be praised as among the greatest ever written by an American leader. Grant did not live to hear that. He died quietly, without wealth, without office, but not without dignity. Grant was never meant to be admired. He was meant to be understood. He was not a man of vision, but a man of burden. Not a man of power, but a man of endurance. History often celebrates those who seize control, but nations are sometimes saved by those who endure responsibility without desire. Grant did not win peace. He survived it. He was too honest for politics, too tired for glory. And perhaps that is why his story matters. Because in a world built for ambition, Grant reminds us that integrity can endure even when it is misunderstood.